It's time for the main event. Here comes the breakdown. Act 1, the setup.
Our story begins with some really bad Photoshop work of Nicolas Cage and family shortly after a prime example of early 2000s CGI title cards. That whole thing was like, it was like, we just learned how to do this, so let's use it for every frickin' movie ever made from here on out. We'll just CGI the hell out of stuff, and it does not hold up. I mean, those things, for the most part, look like crap nowadays.
We just watched Spider-Man 1 and 2 the other night, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just this really crappy
early 2000s, man. They
intro.
did tons of
That's
those
what popped
things.
in my head when Patrick said the early 2000s CGI title credits to Spider-Man movies.
You know what this movie reminds me a lot is 3,000 Miles to Graceland. Did you guys ever watch that movie? With
A long time ago.
Yeah, with Kurt Russell and Kevin Costner.
Yeah,
I actually really love that movie, but they used like half the same music is the same in this. The color grading, the CGI titles, like it just feels very similar.
Yeah.
We see various trophies, photos, toy cars, stolen stereos, popped ignitions, and such, which lead us to believe that this guy is a driver or something. All of this happens over the first of many songs in this film that just feels, for lack of a better word, obnoxious. Just, oh. There's so many songs in this movie that are just like, oh, Jesus, come on. Really? This one? But that first opening is just like, oh, get ready for fun. I don't know what it is. It just rubs me the wrong way. I'm just like,
It is not the worst part of this movie for me.
Next, we see a cracked out looking Giovanni Ribisi hanging out with bargain basement Mos Def and that one kid from the bunny suit in Donnie Darko. Did you notice that? It's the same kid from the bunny suit. We know that Ribisi is Nick Cage's brother thanks to the crudely cut out pictures of them in the title card exposition montage doing brotherly stuff like eating tacos and drinking together. He, almost deaf, and Bunny Boy case a Porsche dealership. It's almost deaf. Now, you can tell that these guys are professional car thieves by the expertise it takes for Ribisi to jump into the trunk, pull out a big-ass brick, and just chuck it through the window of a dealership in the middle of a busy neighborhood while giving no thought to disguising himself whatsoever. It's not like this movie was set in the 70s like the original. There are cameras and cell phones. All of that shit existed in the year 2000. Obviously, this Porsche dealership, this super high-end Porsche dealership that looks like it's in like Beverly Hills or something,
It's like on some strip.
obviously has cameras and shit.
It's probably automatic alarms when you bust a window out.
Yep. They steal a Porsche off the showroom floor and then drive the car that has apparently been requested by someone who gave them money to steal it directly through a plate glass window and into oncoming traffic. This guy's an idiot. Back at the brains of this operation, Scott Kahn bounces a tennis ball off the wall while explaining what a stranger is. For the uneducated, a stranger is when you sit on your arm till it falls asleep and then jerk off pretending it's someone else. Somehow this movie managed not to get nominated for a single writing award, which is such a shame.
So you're saying that Dave Chappelle's show was plagiarized from Gone in 60 Seconds?
Maybe. They came out about the same. Well, no, it came out a few years
That's
later.
where I learned what a stranger was from the Lil Jon skit he did.
Oh, yeah. I think I learned from Family Guy first.
I learned it from doing it, so.
By accident.
I didn't know it had a name.
It works with my legs. Maybe it'll work with my hand. Back with the other idiots, Giovanni decides to race some douche and his girlfriend at a light, while the only sensible person to appear in the movie so far, Hydrox Mos Def, yells that they're going to jail.
That's a deep cut.
Yeah, who remembers Hydrox? Wouldn't you know it, these dumb shits drive right past some cops arresting a Hispanic version of the guy who flew the helicopter in Road Warrior. It looks exactly the same. Who giggles at the cops, and then, you know, as he's trying to call it into the station, he laughs, and it's just stupid. It's just stupid. I feel like you could describe almost every scene like, this is stupid. These geniuses drive the stolen car straight to their hideout, where they're holding like a dozen cars that they just stole, followed by like 20 cop cars and a police helicopter. This whole movie is about Nick Cage's character coming out of retirement to fix his fucking nincompoop brother's screw up. And with less than 4 minutes of screen time, I already want him dead. I mean, just stay retired. Just let this idiot rot in prison. I mean, it's not worth it. The crew scrambles to hide all of their illicit activity while another early 2000s obnoxious song plays in the background. Important detail here, their list of cars that they have stolen / planned to steal is written so it can only be seen under blacklight. But, of course, on their way out, they break the one and only light that could clue the cops into how they hid all of this evidence, by leaving tons of broken blacklight glass on the ground. I'm not a detective, but I'm pretty sure I could have figured that out in like 5 seconds as soon as the cop walked in, like, this glass is black. Maybe a blacklight? But no, it still takes them like an hour.
For analysis.
But to be fair, they did like splash a cup of water on it to try and wash it off.
on the walls.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Their plan A was to just throw like 8 ounces of water on the entire wall and hope that washed off all the blacklight paint.
Didn't work out too well though.
These dopes escape the scene, and the head Grand Theft Auto detectives at the LAPD show up to the scene. They don't say that they're the head detectives, but I'm positive that they are, right?
They're the only detectives in that department.
One of the detectives
looks down on them, like homicide doesn't give a shit about what they're doing, tells them to back off multiple times.
Yeah.
They're the D squad.
They're the other guys. One of the detectives, played by Timothy Oliphant, remarks that the guy who threw a rock through a window and then had a street race that alerted the cops to follow them to their hideout are definitely professionals, since there is no visible damage to the locking mechanisms, steering columns, or ignitions. I feel like the word professional is way overused nowadays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's just...
Well, I mean, they got paid to do it once, presumably, so that makes them a professional.
That makes them professionals.
Put it on a resume. It was really good to see Timothy Oliphant play a lawman. Like, you don't see that often enough. See him playing against type, playing a sheriff. It's not like
he's never done that before.
It's not like literally every single role I've ever seen Timothy Oliphant play. He plays some sheriff or lawman.
What are you talking about?
It was nice. It was refreshing.
Yeah.
What are you talking about, dude?
Also,
playing against type.
That reminded me, Patrick. His name was the cop's name was Lieutenant Drycoff.
Yep.
And it's literally spelled dry, like dry cough.
Yeah.
In the subtitles.
The other detective decides they should impound the cars for 1 month as Timothy Oliphant gives a "I'm a huge dickhead" face to the camera for some reason. The head detective immediately spots the broken blacklight glass, but it will be at least an hour from now in the film and several days later before he figures out that brain burner. This is black glass.
He even picks it up.
Yeah.
That's like the first piece of evidence he collects.
Well, to his credit, it's been a long time since he's been to the disco, so he hasn't seen black lights in action in a while.
Remember the 70s? Over in It's the Desert, so everything has to be a shade of yellow land, the man we've all been waiting for runs a go-kart garage or gas station or something that requires coveralls, where he teaches 10-year-olds how to drive carts. I think it's a gas station. I'm pretty sure they said at one point,
it's like a gas
station, garage, convenience store.
I don't know who's trusting their kids to this guy. I got this seedy fucking looking junkyard go-kart track.
It's just Memphis.
When everything is yellow, I mean, everything just looks the same. It all just looks dirty.
Everybody's mellow.
Except for this part. We see the least moronic looking one of the idiots from the previous scene arrive in a clean new Cadillac, so you know he ain't from around these parts where everything is dirty and old. It's the year 2000, everything is old as shit in that scene.
It's like a garage from the 50s.
Yeah.
Like from a Fallout. From Fallout.
Yeah, it's everything's just covered in rust and gross. And
Nick tells him he's retired, but this guy, Atlee, explains that Nick's baby bro is in trouble. Atlee explains that Ribisi, or Kip, took a job and fumbled it. Fumbled it. A monkey could have done a better job stealing a car than this dipshit. Nick is surprised to find out Kip has been stealing cars with his own crew and that he owes cars to a guy named Raymond Calitri, who they call the Carpenter because, you know, he does carpentry when he's not being a maniac, which is
a woodworker.
important stuff.
Calms him.
Atlee explains he also works for the Carpenter, and I guess their whole crew works for this guy now, and that he scares the shit out of him. But he had to find work after Nick, or should I say Memphis, retired. Really? It's the only guy that's giving out money?
stealing cars. Yeah.
We see Kip being attacked by some lens flares as he gets handcuffed to the steering wheel of a car. Did you see that? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's J.J. Abrams' one writing note. Like, put a bunch of lens flares in there.
See, yeah, that's what I text you guys. I was like, this is the most Michael Bay, like non-Michael Bay movie ever.
That's not J.J. Flair.
Yeah.
And
That's not
now that
J.J.
makes sense.
Flair.
That's where J.J. learned how to do those lens flares.
Oh, I love that. Love that
I
scene.
love that. Put it in every movie ever.
A forklift puts the car into a car crusher while the score to every Michael Bay movie plays in the background. I don't know what that music is, but it's the same goddamn music in every one of these types of movies. Like they just found it in some library somewhere and just that's the go-to music from here on out.
It's one of those generic unlicensed libraries, so everybody can use it.
The junkyard is filled with the usual sights of a steel plant. Random fireballs, sparks pouring over common areas where people walk and park their cars. You know, standard stuff. Atlee and Memphis show up at the Carpenter's office after driving like 20 minutes from wherever Memphis was hiding in the desert. Like, it's like 10 minutes later. Like, he's just...
Yeah, he drove from like New Mexico to California.
Yeah.
Turns out the Carpenter is an English fop who thinks baseball is boring, but I'd put money on him being a big fan of the game where people kick a ball around for 90 minutes that more often than not ends in a 0-0 tie. If I was a betting man.
0-0, thank you. 0-0.
The Carpenter says Memphis Raines, his actual name in the movie, is a legend, and that that when he retired, auto theft went down 47%. Then he shows off his carpentry work because it's important to have hobbies. He like shows all these different chairs that he made and shit. He says he has a list of 50 cars he wants stolen and that he'll pay $200,000 for them. Apparently he gave the brick thrower $10,000 up front since he had street cred because he's Memphis's brother. So Memphis decides to pay it back himself, which causes the Carpenter to launch into a tirade about how he has to deliver the cars by a certain date or his connection will bail on him. Then he asks Memphis if he looks like an asshole, and he says what we're all thinking. Yeah.
Says the guy with frosted tips.
Yeah.
In the movie. The Cage with 2000s frosted tips.
Yeah, that was the
Looking
trend
cool,
back then,
man.
dude.
That was the trend, man. Big Teeth then throws Memphis's $10,000 in his face, and he never attempts to pick it up at all. Just leaves it on the ground and walks out.
That's how you know he's loaded.
Even if you're loaded, like I would expect you to at least pick up the $10,000. It's not a small amount of money to anybody.
That would slow the movie down.
Yeah.
Just watch him.
Okay. You know how long that would take?
Scooping it up. There's some over there on the chair.
Excuse me, I gotta pick up
Could you scoop back, please?
You dropped some behind your desk. I gotta get back there. Excuse me. That would have been awesome. I would pay to see that scene.
A bonus scene, a deleted scene.
Excuse me. Sorry, it's under your shoe. Can you move your shoe? Then the carpenter reveals why the writers made him a carpenter. We see that he has spent hours, countless hours, crafting a coffin complete with a fabric inner lining for someone who presumably screwed up stealing a car from him the previous night. So at most, if he didn't sleep, okay, Kip fucked up. It was midnight when he threw the rock through the windshield or the window because we got a nice little timer at the bottom for no reason, saying what time it was.
24, dude. 24 style.
And
in the Spider-Man font.
So let's
the Spider-Man font.
let's say he didn't sleep. So at let's say 1 o'clock in the morning, he started crafting that coffin. It's now 7 to 10 o'clock at night, I would say. So what is that? That's less than 24 hours he crafted that entire coffin because Kip fucked up the previous night. Anyway.
It's plausible.
Sanded it, finished it, upholstered it.
Stained it.
Stained it.
You know?
They made a $5,000 coffin for this one guy he wants to kill.
That shows you he's a man of class, you know. He doesn't want to kill him, but he's got to, you know.
Yeah, you gotta give him proper send-off, I guess.
I want him to have something nice, Nick. When his family sees him. Then they go outside where everything is green for no goddamn reason. There are random huge fireballs coming out of pipes every 20 feet. Michael Bay.
Your favorite
not
music
Michael Bay.
players.
Not Michael Bay.
Not Michael Bay.
Michael Bay took notes.
Michael Bay copied this movie identically. We see Kip handcuffed to the wheel of a car in a car crusher from the previous scene, but now he's actually in the crusher. They start crushing the car, which is a big win in my book. Remove the dumbest character right off the bat and give our hero a good reason for revenge. No, wait. Memphis takes one of the carpenter's henchman's guns away, and they have a little Mexican standoff while the carpenter convinces Memphis to take the job to save his brother's life. He tells Memphis to have the cars in shipping containers on a boat by 8 a.m. Friday morning, or he'll put his brother in the coffin that took him less than a day to make. Next, we see Memphis and Kip at Kip's house, where he makes his brother some beer-covered bacon or potatoes or some nondescript brown stuff or something with a gallon of salt in it and some burnt
Protein.
toast. Yeah. I thought it was like cracklins or something.
It was like chicken chunks or something.
I could. I've seen this movie
Chicken gizzards.
a ton of times. I still have no fucking clue what he's cooking him.
I thought he was like making him a stir fry or something.
Yeah.
But it was just with chunks of chicken.
With some beer in it.
Yeah.
Half the thing of salt.
Delicious.
But it's like, the salt, he goes to pour it, and then the lid pops off and the salt dumps out. But like, whoever has a loose salt shaker lid like that?
Well, the whole point of the scene is to show you how much of a fuck up Kip is.
Yeah, I think
can't
we
even
got
make
that
scrambled
already.
eggs.
We pretty much
No,
established
before it was
that.
just bad
You gotta
luck.
show, like,
it's
yeah.
bad luck before.
But then you also got to show that, like, Memphis, he forgives him because he eats it, says it tastes pretty good, even though he almost kills
dies.
himself
Almost
choking
pukes
on
from
it.
it. Yeah.
Hey, there's Nick Cage doing something weird with food
Yeah.
in this movie.
Kip says their mom doesn't know that he's followed in his brother's footsteps badly, by the way. But he's got everything under control as his kitchen catches fire. Einstein smacks the flames with a rag like a chimp until Memphis puts it out with some baking soda. Just the worst fucking character in this movie. Just let him go to jail. He needs structure.
Let him die.
Now he's our narrative hook.
Let him die. He can't do
We're
anything
supposed to be
right.
sympathetic.
Over on some fishing docks, the two detectives roust a guy named Fuzzy, who has tons of inside info on what's happening in the underground car theft market for some reason that is never explained. Who the hell is this guy, and how does he know all this stuff? Because he works at the docks, and they load cars at the docks?
Well, yeah, that is where they take the cars.
But he works. He's like working at a fishery. The fuck does that have to do with anything? He just hangs out with the seedy
Maybe
types.
his that's his secondary job. Maybe his first job, he's a longshoreman.
Yeah, look at William Dafoe and Dog Eat Dog. He worked at a cannery, and he knew a lot of things about the criminal underworld. It's just part of the trade.
Yes, all people who work in fishing in general are all just monsters.
They're all criminals.
They're all criminals. Having worked in that industry, yeah, I could say that's probably true.
He says Fuzzy. He says 2 weeks ago somebody requested a bunch of top-end cars that need to be delivered by the end of the week. The detectives tell him to get the name of the person or they'll be back. Again, who is this guy and how is he connected to them?
Also, what a dumb threat. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
Like,
You gotta put you in jail for not
Yeah.
giving us any information.
You gotta come back to get the name from us, dumbass. What kind of detectives are you?
Memphis visits his mom, who apparently works at a Waffle House or something. Dude was the best car thief in the history of car thieves, but his mom works in what Peter Lowe would describe a fucking grease hole.
That deserves applause.
A waitress tells her someone is looking for her, and she asks what he looks like, to which Memphis answers, like a firecracker. That's what he looks like.
What does that mean?
It's that blonde
Had to
hair.
have been a Nick Cage ad lib.
Yeah. like your son. Like a firecracker. He says he's there to help Kip with something, and then he gets spotted by some cops who instantly recognize him, even though it's been 6 years since he's been in town. We'll just there's just certain little details that just,
Nick Cage doesn't age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He explains to his mom that Kip is in deep, and that he'll have to do things he told her he'd never do again to get him out of it. Next, we see Nicolas Cage on his knees in front of the carpenter with his hands on Calitri's butt cheeks. Oh, wait, no, that didn't happen. Never mind. It was just a fantasy I had. Mom says do whatever it takes, so he puts his hands on her hands, gives her a creepy look, and leaves without saying goodbye. Even though he hasn't seen Mom in years, apparently. That's the only time she's in the movie, right? That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Outside, the two detectives are waiting for him because Long Beach is a tiny little town and you can get anywhere around Los Angeles in 2 minutes. It's like, he was with his mom for like 30 seconds. Those cops spotted him like a minute earlier, and those detectives were waiting for him outside when he got out of the shop. It takes a minute to get around in Los Angeles. Just a little, little time to get from place to place. Then the main detective has an award-worthy conversation with himself about how the cop in the shop recognized Memphis and that he bet him $200 that it's not him, but it is him. But he doesn't believe him. But it's time for, it goes on like that for like 2 minutes straight. He explains what a crazy coincidence it is that 2 nights earlier, they found 13 stolen cars that felt like a job Memphis would have done, and then suddenly he's back in town. Memphis explains that he's back in town for a family emergency, to which the detective says he also has a family emergency since he has to explain to his wife he just lost $200. Just keep going back to that. Timothy Oliphant, or Detective Drycoff, says the guy's wife is mean and they stare at each other for a bit. The detective tells Memphis he made a smart move leaving to teach kids how to go-karting or whatever 6 years earlier, but he always wanted to be the one who could have busted him. Memphis says without defeat, he won't be able to appreciate victory, which makes the detective ask if Eleanor told him that. Ooh, foreshadowing. Ooh. Also the smartest line in the entire movie.
It's a moment.
Yeah.
He tells him to keep his nose clean or he'll bust him, and then Drycoff says,
By the time you get out, asshole, there won't even be cars. I'll be cruising around in your little spaceships.
It's like a fucking 9-year-old wrote this movie, man.
He's so smug about it.
It wouldn't even be
I imagine
ships.
how the script writer felt when he was writing that line.
How did Timothy Oliphant ever get another role after this movie? He's just so bad in this. Somebody watched this and was like, that's the guy we need to star in Fast and Furious. I feel like half of casting in Hollywood is just association. They're just like, oh, he was in that car movie. Let's put him in a car movie.
Yeah.
Typecast people.
He
You
played
gotta
a
figure out how the audience
detective.
is going to react to it.
Let's make him a detective.
Yeah.
Solid
Detective
gold,
for
Johnny.
20 years.
Before leaving, the head detective, who still doesn't have a name at this point in the movie, so I have to keep calling him Detective, explains Eleanor is a car. He doesn't get a name until like 30, 40 minutes into the movie. Mm-hmm. I never hear anybody say his name unless I missed it. He doesn't have a name until they go to Otto's shop forever
Just call
from
him
now.
Riggs.
Just call him Riggs.
Hey, Riggs! I can't remember his name.
It's Castlebeck. That's his name. But
That's right. It was like a made-up name.
I'm not going to call. I'm
names
not
are
going to
made
call
up.
him that until he actually says it. Overhead an old shop from the 20s that is surrounded by oil pumps for some reason. We meet Otto, who is busily painting away, ignoring his dog eating a license plate a few feet away.
Dog just eats metal.
It's fine, just let him eat it. He's like a goat. Otto is played by Robert Duvall, who has been nominated for 7 Academy Awards, but apparently needed a paycheck. 7 Academy Awards. Memphis says that Otto looks happy, then immediately tries to convince him to help him do some illegal shit that could end up in him getting arrested or killed. Memphis is confused as to why they don't chop cars at the shop anymore, and Otto explains that now they restore cars instead. Yeah, it's deep. It's coming around.
Deep metaphor.
Then he plays a tape of a race car revving its engine, which was already in the tape deck, but acts like he's brilliant for knowing the car on the recording he probably made and listens to constantly. It's this whatever Le Mans or whatever. Yeah. You recorded this. Of course you know what it is.
Right.
Another car movie trope to show how much they know about cars. They have to have some obscure reference based off of audio. Like that.
Which I think is the race from the Ford versus Ferrari movie. If you watch that, I think that's what they were referencing in that scene. Memphis asks if Otto has heard of the Carpenter, which he has and thinks he's an asshole. He knows about Kip, and then Otto begs Memphis not to get him involved. Not this time. No, I can't do it now. Memphis tells Otto the job.
2 days from retirement.
And then says he's doing it to save Kip, and then Otto immediately agrees to help him. And they decide to build a crew together.
I mean, he's got it. His name's Otto. It's about stealing cars.
Genius. Next, we see a stereotype of an Asian driving worse than a drunk toddler in a driving school car. The instructor tells her she's terrible at all facets of driving, then hits back with some stereotype of his own, saying he knows he can't swim because he's black. It's fucking...
What a simpler time it was in the 2000s.
Really was.
Oh, good Lord.
That was comedy back then.
I mean, it's just like the writing of especially the African American characters in this movie is just like
Stereotypical.
like a white guy watched one like blaxploitation movie from the 70s
But
and
it's
just based
okay,
every character
'cause-
off of that.
It's okay because the big black guy calls the little black guy ghetto smurf. So it's fine.
Yeah, the black people make fun of each other, so it's
Right.
fine.
So we can do it too. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then the Asian lady cries like the sound of a teapot boiling.
All right, now just
While the instructor gets a call from, wouldn't you guess it, Memphis, who convinces him in 2 seconds to leave his lovely job as a driving instructor behind for a life of crime. He leaves and the Asian lady backs the car into oncoming traffic immediately. Little over the top, just you know, subtlety sometimes works in movies. We see a montage of them calling random people to join the crew before we cut to our film's equivalent to the trolley boy from Hot Fuzz. This guy is a mute mortician who takes a bite of a sandwich and then puts it on a dead body, because he's tough. Just disgusting. I mean, come on. But he's tough, Nothing can break this guy, including, horrible bacteria that could eat you from the inside out. He's apparently exactly the guy that they're after. I know what you're thinking. How did he answer Memphis if he can't talk? He just presses a button. Just press a button. The fuck is the point?
Beep. I thought it was kind of clever. It's just like, hey, press buttons if you. I don't know why he has to be a mute.
If he's a mute, you should have left him a mute and not had him have that stupid ass fucking little soliloquy at the end of the movie that we'll get to. Here we go. Here's my favorite part. Memphis then visits Angelina Jolie's character, Sway. Her character is a cross between the albinos from The Matrix Reloaded and the human personification of genital lice. I'm pretty sure her name is Sway because she might be swayed to suck dick for half of a cigarette. Obviously, she and Memphis have a history, and Sway isn't over it. So she takes a healthy swig from a gas can. Did you guys notice that? I guess it's a water bottle, but it's like a gas can.
Yeah.
Like she just reused the gas can.
Because she's tough.
Yeah, she's tough. She leaves her job as a mechanic and heads to her job as a bartender, where she looks equally disgusting. She didn't wash or anything after. When I first saw her, I was like, oh, of course, she's disgusting. She's been working on cars all day. She's all greasy and her hair is matted and disgusting. But then she has an opportunity to wash up before she goes to her job where she works for tips as a bartender, but just looks revolting the whole time. Just greasy, gross, matted hair like a cocker spaniel's ears.
And it's blonde for some reason.
Yeah, it's blonde, like bleach blonde.
Yeah.
Memphis, though, says she looks amazing. I'm guessing he's really into that cocaine chic American Apparel look because she looks like a crackhead raped a skeleton.
Well, as we find out later, Memphis is sexually attracted to cars, so I guess his standards aren't all that great.
I guess so, yeah. He tells her about Kip and the job, and then the woman who looks like she just crawled out of a dumpster filled with old half-empty tuna cans after a fresh rain says she's cleaned up. A guy asks for a drink and Memphis slams his fist on the table in another crazy, most likely unscripted Nick Cage moment.
I hate to even come here and ask you.
Can I get that drink now, please?
And I had to ask a few of the others too.
And then he apologizes to the guy and buys him a drink, which Skeletor keeps for herself.
How about that drink?
Definitely not scripted Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just shut up, I'm trying to talk to her.
It's kind of out of character. I don't know.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
It's just so abrupt.
Outside, a group of gangbangers tells Memphis to leave town since he's costing these guys business, even though he hasn't pulled a job in 6 years and literally got into town the night before. They get into a tussle that ends when the mortician dude appears out of nowhere and blows up the gang leader's car, then beats up the rest of the gang. Blowing up the one car ends up blowing up every goddamn car in the parking lot, and they just saunter off into the night together. No repercussions whatsoever. Just blow up half the fucking parking lot.
I don't think the detectives even investigate it.
Nope.
No.
Never mentioned again.
They don't reference it ever again, no.
I also missed out or skipped out on how Sway immediately offers to have sex with Nick Cage when she's in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Who does?
Sway does.
Sway.
When he talks to her in the bar, she says something about like going out and polishing the hood of some car in the back or something.
Yeah.
Like immediately. It's like one of the first things she says to him.
Also left over the "you're healed" part because she calls him. He looks like a Bible salesman now,
Yeah.
which makes me wonder, like, what did he look like before? Did he look like her?
Probably like her, yeah.
He probably looked like a priest.
He does have a face like a priest.
You do.
Over at Kip's house, he and Memphis share a moment as Kip explains that he felt abandoned when Memphis left. By the way, Kip's house is like if Tom Hanks' character from Big lived in California and was really into motorcycles and skeletons. It's just weird. It's got like stop lights on the wall and random X-rays and motorcycle in the living room. Just a normal everyday house. I guess, because he doesn't really have, there's no like father figure in this whole movie really. So I guess, Memphis was kind of his father figure, and he's basically a big adult child at this point. Memphis explains he didn't steal cars for the money. He stole cars for the love of the cars. Kip tells him he doesn't even know who he is anymore since he abandoned him, and that he has a new family with the doofuses he hangs out with all the time. Those guys, they wouldn't leave me behind. Giovanni Ribisi has this ability to either come off as a really smart person or a really, really stupid person in just about every role that he plays.
I'm not a real big fan of him as an actor.
I'm not either. I like him better than Jared Leto, but not much. Jared Leto's my bar. That's like my least favorite actor of all time.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy,
I hate Jared
can't wait
Leto.
to watch Lord of War with you.
Yeah. Can't wait for that. I hate Jared Leto so much.
Oh, he's so good in that movie.
Don't know why.
I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I don't know why he just rubs me the wrong way. I think it's because of his
rubbed me the wrong way.
His fucking band at 30 Seconds to Mars. Oh, fuck that band.
Brilliant.
It's like Coldplay and Nickelback had a baby.
That's why I like it, I think.
And Muse was like Muse. In the anal, it was like kind of dribbled down. It all mixed together into some smegma and went in there. We cut to a horribly over-color graded building that is, I guess, the Governor's Regional Auto Theft Bureau, thanks to some handy titles on the screen. Is that like the car FBI or something? Couldn't they have just called it the police station so we know what the fuck they're talking about? We have to have an acronym later in the movie. By the way,
it's its own thing.
By the way, I looked it up. It's not even a thing. It doesn't even exist.
No,
this is not a thing.
It is in this universe. It's right up there with the CIA and the FBI and the NSA.
And all those
they take car crime serious.
Yeah, all those other
grab
three-letter
unit.
agencies that have no names. The grab unit. It's so bad.
Timothy Oliphant talks like an idiot while explaining to the other detective, who still doesn't have a name, that he found a lead on the stolen cars thanks to some laser-cut keys that came from a specific dealership that only has one guy with a criminal record working at it.
Those Mercedes we impounded need those newfangled laser-cut keys. Each one's from Dresner Foreign Motors, downtown Newport, where all the employees are clean except for him.
He mentions that this guy is responsible for replacing all the lost keys. I don't know if you noticed that, but just the way he talks, like, I don't even want to do it because I won't do it justice, but he talks like a moron in this scene. Mm-hmm. He talks like a moron in most scenes, but this one in particular.
I was going to say, most scenes, he's pretty bad.
Yeah, it didn't even stick out to me.
Back at the old shop in the middle of the oil field, Kip and his stooges show up to meet Memphis and his crew of professionals. Memphis wants to know why they're there, and Kip explains that he wants his group to be a part of the big job. Memphis is upset because he promised to keep Kip out of the car thieving game, and Kip says there's a lot of money at stake, so Memphis freaks out, saying, "You think that money has anything to do with this? This is all about keeping you out of trouble, Otto tries to talk Memphis into letting the moron who chucked a brick through the window of a dealership in the first minute of the film and his goofy-ass dumbshit crew to join this crew of experienced and professional car thieves, since they don't have enough people to pull off the job. Just go out on the street and find some people that are probably better at it than these idiots.
They'd be more apt at it.
Memphis asks if they have any skills. And almost deaf kisses his fingers like Sammy Sosa, while Kip explains that he's an electronics expert, which never comes back once in the entire film. Scott Conn, looking half retarded with some goggles on, says he can drive anything with wheels. I think most of us can, buddy. And Toby, obviously the guy who gives all these guys rides when they're too drunk to drive home, is a computer genius. He says he can hack into the DMV and change VIN numbers and stuff. Also, there's Donnie Darko Kid, but he's not stupid enough looking to be singled out in that scene. But later we find out that he's really great at ordering pizza. I know I feel really confident that this batch is really going to add to this crew.
These are the guys.
These are the guys.
Yeah.
They're going to pull off 50 stolen cars in one fucking night.
Well, they got 13 of them before. So.
That's true.
And
I don't know if
that's a
they did it in
decent
one
amount.
night, though. I'm guessing
know.
took several months.
That was 13 months.
How dumb these people are.
That's why they only got the 3-day or the 3-night deadline now or whatever, because these other guys fucked off for so long.
That's
and
true.
only
I
got
think
13
they gave
cars.
them 2 weeks. The Fuzzy said that they had like 2 weeks. And they
Yeah, I think it was like a
fucked up
2-week
for
window.
all that time. We next see the detectives threatening the guy at the dealership who orders lost keys. He says someone came to him and said he'd pay $500 a key, so he ordered them for him. Detectives tell him to call them if the kid who looks like a idiot boxer comes back in. Obviously, Scott Conn. Obviously. I've seen Scott Conn play smart characters, but he just looks like a moron through this whole freaking thing.
Yeah, he really does.
I don't know why they made him so stupid. I don't remember James Caan ever looking that dumb in anything he ever did in his entire career.
Act 2, The Conflict.
The crew discusses how to accomplish the job. Otto and Memphis decide they are going to steal all 50 cars in one night. Kip thinks they should steal the cars over a few days, but Memphis argues that by the second night the heat will be on and they won't be able to finish stealing all the cars. Meanwhile, 5 minutes ago, the two lead detectives for the Grand Theft Auto told the guy planning this caper that if he even walked outside the lines of a crosswalk, they'd be there to bust him for jaywalking. So isn't the heat already on them at this point? They're worried about raising it, and these guys aren't surveilling the entire auto shop.
You would think that they would be watching Nick Cage like a hawk and would be, privy to pretty much everything that he's working on already. Like, obviously, he's already reconnected with the guy who ran the chop shop that they put all the fucking cars in before. And then you start seeing all of the guys that he ran the crew with before showing up at that building.
These guys are somehow really good, but also really terrible at their
Yes.
job. they're good when they need to be, I guess.
This movie strikes me as it was, like it was written by somebody who has no experience with car theft whatsoever, did no research whatsoever, just was like, well, I saw the original movie. I think that's how it's done.
25 cars are easy to steal, but there are 25 exotic cars that can be tricky. Doofus Scott Conn says he can provide laser-cut keys for new Mercedes on the list thanks to his connection at the dealership. The whiz kid who can hack into the DMV hacks an insurance database while hitting keys like an old man with Parkinson's.
Toby, hack into the insurance database and find as many cars.
And we see a generic hacker script that only exists in movies like this one flash across the screen.
Did you see how that kid was typing? He was like,
Yeah, it's
having a fit.
Typing it's movie typing.
He's a hacker, so he types like this. That's how
I also love that this is like 2000, and he's somehow got high enough speed internet from the inside of an auto garage to hack into the DMV just from a little laptop that he has hooked up to something. Wi-Fi didn't even exist back then. What the hell?
It was easy. It was actually easier to hack things back then because all you had to do was, because there wasn't nearly as much security on things. So it was easy to just get right into the back door, and nobody was expecting any hackers to be there.
I really don't think this guy running an auto shop has high-speed internet, though.
No. And back then, he probably would have needed to actually be somewhere around the DMV to get access to their stuff. He could have plugged into their network.
Yeah, like the DMV wasn't on the internet, I don't think.
No, I mean, all that stuff could have been localized,
Yeah.
I see.
Anyways.
The back,
Hacking.
the black
is tantamount to
market or
magic
whatever.
in movie script writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can do whatever. He's a whiz. Donnie, the driving instructor, unsuspiciously gets a list of 20 cars from the DMV while passing his Asian driving student, who, wouldn't you know it, just failed another driving test. Asians are so bad at driving.
It's hilarious.
It's great. We'll get 2 jokes out of it in the movie.
She's back again.
Donnie is shocked. Donnie is shocked when the woman who gives him the list of cars he could only possibly need for one reason sweats him for the ludicrous sum of $100. Like, didn't he say like it used to cost $10 or something like that?
It was like $2 a car before,
So
now it's like
Yeah,
$5
$2
a
cars,
car.
something like that, yeah.
Inflation, man.
Yeah. Just keeps going up.
Memphis heads to a car dealership where Nick Cage busts out our favorite character. That's right, it's Peter Lowe time. He pretends to be a rich guy who can't get laid because he hasn't been able to buy a unique enough car. He says everyone who drives Ferraris are self-indulgent wieners because this movie is PG-13 and dumb. He tells the salesman that he's looking for a 1967 Shelby, and the guy who seems to work at a Ferrari dealership says he has a Ford Mustang in their warehouse. There's like a new dealership,
Which
too.
is the Long Beach Twin Towers or whatever that is. That's his warehouse. Yeah.
Back at the obviously over-color-graded police headquarters or governor's ballroom or whatever the hell it is, the detective's going to tip that the dipshit-looking Scott Conn is coming for the Mercedes keys. I wonder how many times Mercedes is said in this movie and how much product placement they paid for it, because they say Mercedes a lot. It's like the only car brand they really mention. You know, and they keep saying like these cars are like impossible to steal, man. You got to get these laser coated Mercedes keys for these Mercedes,
And they have to be Mercedes keys with the Mercedes emblem on the Mercedes key.
yeah. Close up on them a couple of times.
We got a
You
quota
see
of
the
35, all right?
Are those the Mercedes keys? No, they don't have the Mercedes logo. Can somebody find the Mercedes keys?
keys. Man, we need the Mercedes keys. It's gonna be so hard to get those Mercedes.
Show the Mercedes keys sitting on the steaming pile of dog shit after it comes out later.
I'm surprised they did it.
They can't tarnish the Mercedes.
It's PG-13.
keys.
You can't show shit, you know?
Yeah, you can't show shit.
Yeah, and you can't tarnish the Mercedes.
Yeah. You could just throw in some racial stereotypes. That's
Yeah, racism
funny.
is cool.
That's good old-fashioned family fun.
It's all good. Yeah. It's good for the kids. Blockbuster.
Rated PG-13.
God damn it.
The crew scopes out the shipping containers that they will be loading all the cars into, but are interrupted by a strung-out junkie whore on a motorcycle. Never mind. That's Sway looking like she just bathed in a vat of boiled horse semen. She joins the crew to help save Kip. Like, is there something I'm missing about Kip? Why does everyone care about this imbecile? And the last time they saw him was when he was like a kid. So, like, why do they care about
They care about
his little kid
Memphis.
brother? Yeah.
You know,
hear about
Memphis's mom said that he's lost that sweetness, so maybe he was like a sweet kid, and now he's just a fucking
Yeah, maybe they all
imbecile.
felt like they were all his parental figures because he didn't really have any.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes whatever.
I don't really
ship it.
say it
Put it
specifically, but you know, you get the idea that dad passed away when they were young or something. Like, I feel like in that opening montage with the pictures, you see dad for a second, and then you just see Memphis and Kip and mom together. That's what happens, man. You don't have a father figure, you start stealing cars.
Start boosting cars.
Scott Conn picks up the keys, and the dealership guy tips off the detectives. They follow him straight to the chop shop in the oil fields. The detectives see the crew plotting and decide to set up surveillance teams at the addresses for the 3 Mercedes they plan to steal, using the keys they just got from the dealership, instead of just tailing them from the place they're all currently at because they just dumped the cars.
Yeah, they're too smart for that.
Yeah.
Couldn't
And
follow.
plus, there's only 2 of them. Until there isn't, and then all of a sudden this department grows.
Yeah. Suddenly there's 100 cops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Inside the shop, the new guys want to know why they name each car after a girl, and Memphis explains that they're code names so no one listening in will know what they're talking about. Thanks, Captain Obvious. You didn't figure that out, you fucking guys.
Explains a lot.
How did they steal 13 cars?
It was a fucking miracle.
They're electronics
Scott
experts
Conn.
and whiz kids.
I'm glad you keep calling him Scott Conn because I can't remember his fucking
I don't
name.
remember either. Yeah.
I can't remember it
It was
either.
like Bash or something retarded.
Yeah, something dumb. It's probably Dash.
Scott Conn gives Memphis the keys as a skeleton looks on shaking. Oh, wait, let's just sway again. Memphis announces that they have all their cars chosen, so it's time to go out and scout them. What? She doesn't do anything in this movie. Like, she's just there.
That's not true. She gives me a raging boner.
I have to admit that
The only
after
reason
you
she's in
guys
it.
were like, I thought she was pretty hot, I went back and doubled down on the disgusting, like, how
It's so weird to
disgusting
me
she
because
is from start to finish.
I've never really found Angelina Jolie attractive. It's just a weird, like, I don't know. She doesn't look like a human being to me, you know. But for some reason in this movie,
weird
like,
lips,
I don't know, it just does it. Like I said before, like text her, like she looks like an alien. Like a human described a beautiful woman to an alien, and then the alien had to recreate that based off of the description. So it's just not something's just off about little parts of her. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It all kind of worked. That grungy slut who exists in this to do nothing except have no personality and no character, and just want to have sex with Nick Cage. Yeah. Who doesn't want a girl like that? At least once, just to try.
Just to try it.
She's like
Worth the cocktail of
tweaking in
STDs.
that scene. I don't know if you noticed, like she's just like shaking and tweaking out. Like
I didn't notice.
I wonder if
she-
that was
I-
like part of her character, or is that just
She may have
Angelina
been doing that
Jolie
in real
going
life.
through
Like
some
she may have coming down off something.
Yeah,
Yeah, who knows? Back then, she was in a whole different place in her life
yeah.
than she is now.
It was probably her choice to look like that. It's probably how she just looked. She just rolled out of
She
bed and
looked like
came to
that.
the set.
I'm not. You know how hard it is to make bleach blonde dreadlocks. I'm not saying shaving these for the movie.
I went to Jamaica with some friends. I'm gonna keep these.
Oh, haven't we all made that mistake?
And did they give her like blue contacts, or does she really have blue eyes like that?
I
Like, there just
was
something
wondering that
looked
myself.
really
Yeah, she
off about
looks
her.
like an alien with those deep blue eyes. But it's kind of like in The Weatherman, like he had at certain points where his eyes were just like super blue.
Oh, yeah.
super. Yeah,
I
think they
wonder if
I
it's
feel
just a
like they
color
gave her
grade.
contracts, or it could be that everything's just so blown
Yeah,
out.
I wanna say
They
she's
have to
got brown
oversaturate
eyes.
everything.
I'll look it up. I'll look-
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody look it up because it was super distracting to me. I was like, she looks. Well, blonde people can't have brown eyes. Even though she's obviously got bleach blonde hair and not a natural blonde.
She has blue eyes naturally.
Does she? Okay.
Wow. Maybe it was just they oversaturated it and they just
Yeah,
looked weird.
Could be. Or they made her
Or maybe
blue
she's
eyes
just seeing her with the
bluer.
dark hair. Maybe I'm just used to seeing the dark hair, and that coupled with the bleach blonde hair just looked off. I don't know.
Yeah.
We see a montage of the crew scouting, which includes a nice little interaction between Muty the Mortician and Black Guy McStereotype about how black people don't like cold weather, followed by the whole crew playing a game show about various famous TV cars on a walkie-talkie that anyone can listen to in on. It's cool, though, because they're talking in code.
Yeah, they're calling the cars women's names.
You can tell this is obviously, like, pre-cell phone ubiquity. Like, they would have just been using cell phones in modern movies, but, they're all using walkie-talkies because that was the height of the wireless tech. Donnie Darko kid hacks a garage door opener even though his only skill was ordering a pizza. I thought that, too. Like, what... I thought the other guy was the electronics guy.
Yeah, they mixed it up.
But they was like, what do they do? I couldn't even tell what the fuck they were doing at first. He's like messing around with just a little like LED readout thing, and then they're dialing in on the frequency of the car door opener.
Apparently,
it's 'cause they didn't-
garage door opener.
apparently, Almost
I was
Death
gonna-
had more chemistry with Vinnie Jones, and so they just decided to put them together. And
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I also figured
you
they
got a
didn't want
big-
Toby to go out with them, so they teach Donnie Darko kid to do it.
Yeah, sure. Memphis scouts one of the Mercedes by pulling up directly outside someone's house, walking slowly to the car and taking a picture of it with the flash on from a disposable camera while the cops wait in a van nearby. Completely stealthy.
He's a
And
professional.
what was the point? Yeah, and what's the point of taking a picture? Like, you know the vehicle's going to be there.
Yeah, that was one of my question I'll ask later. Or just why nobody moved any of these 50 cars?
Yeah.
Why are they going out like 2 days before to take pictures of them? But yeah, why are they taking pictures?
I don't know.
Okay, so are they going to go get that developed then? Like take that to a 1 hour photo to get all that stuff developed? Because you don't have camera phones, so nowadays you snap photos and you can send it to somebody immediately.
That would have been a good spin-off, too, is he takes it into 1 hour photo, and it's Willie Robbins behind the counter.
Willie Robbins?
Or Robin Williams. I think I just had a stroke. Robin Williams.
It's Robin Williams in this universe. It's Willie Robbins.
It's Willie Robbins. I'm Willie Robbins back here. Don't do drugs, kids.
Right, like Angelina Jolie.
The
Wildly successful.
electronics experts have a dark room or something,
Yeah.
Almost Deaf is developing photos back there.
He might be.
Yeah, it's not like they're on a time crunch. They got time to develop 50 photos from multiple cameras.
That served no purpose at all.
The detectives don't bust him, though, since they didn't make a move for the car, and they decide to head over to Otto's shop in the morning instead of just tailing them right then and there to figure out where else they're going and what else they're doing. Maybe they could catch them doing something else, illegal, but I guess they decided to just wait. We see Donnie, Kip, Bunny Boy, and Memphis scout out Eleanor herself, the GT500 Shelby Mustang he's apparently scared of since it's his unicorn. Every time he's tried to steal it, something always happens to prevent it, such as flipping one on the Harbor Freeway, taking another off Long Beach Pier, etc. So, I don't know how he's still alive if he's crashed multiple times.
And he's never been arrested. We kind of established that. Never been caught because he's the greatest thief ever, but he did flip one on the Harbor Freeway and drove one off the Long Beach Pier, but still managed to get away.
Kip and Memphis head out for a chocolate malt, not a joke. Then the gangbangers from earlier show up and surround their car. I thought this was like the same cafe or diner that his mom worked at. And I don't know if it was supposed to be or if they just had it, so they shot both scenes at this diner because that's maybe that's why he met his mom at a diner instead of at her house like a normal person would.
I don't know, because the diner that you see early in the film is kind of like in like surrounded by other buildings, like a downtown type area, and then this one is kind of like a big open parking lot, like
just out by itself. Turns out they're a little sore about the whole blowing all of their cars up business, so they unload shotguns and a machine gun into the nearby empty car instead of shooting Memphis and Kip escaping through a fence like 2 feet away.
totally obvious that they're not in the car anymore.
They run through color-coded backyards, some green, some yellow, a red one, blue ones. You know how everyone has colored lights illuminating their entire backyards and garages instead of normal lights.
Well, nowadays I kind of feel like that is probably more realistic.
I don't know.
Everybody having the
I haven't seen
hue
that
lights.
Everybody's just got regular light bulbs and
they run into a green garage. Like, how else will you know that they're going to different places? Maybe it's the same. Maybe they had to run through the same yard multiple times, so they just had to keep changing the lighting.
It's yellow now. Okay,
it's yellow. Clearly different.
They only had the one location. The gangsters chase them for a bit, and one blows up a chicken. Then they head to a diner where some cops are hanging out. Yeah, he just shoots the chicken with a shotgun, so they can have nothing. So I was like, just so you can have some feathers flying in the air to make the shot look a little cooler.
I feel like it was, they tried to like punctuate with some jokes here and there. But again, it's like a fucking, like a 9-year-old wrote the joke. Man, he shoots a chicken and blows up.
So like a bunch of feathers from a pillow goes flying. Doesn't look like actual chicken feathers. The gangbangers wait outside patiently while Kip and Memphis enjoy that chocolate malt. Memphis yells some vaguely racist stuff to them through the window.
Look, cop car. Long as I'm in here, you're just gonna sit out there, aren't you? Alright.
that they're able to hear it perfectly even 20 feet away, but no one in the diner seems to notice. He even mentions there's cops in the diner screaming, and the cops don't even come over to check out why this guy's yelling out the window. That's one of my Coppola questions, so we'll just get to it now. It just seems weird, like just yelling out the window at him.
Yeah.
Just accept it.
In a crowded diner, incling police officers. Don't look the other way.
That's the couple of questions on this whole movie is just accept it. just let it go.
Yeah, really, they just see like him being like, like, what? Police walk up behind him, tap him on the shoulder.
Sir, you're yelling, and there's people trying to eat in here.
If you're gonna do it.
Hey, are you that Memphis guy?
I recognize you. I haven't seen you in 6 years.
What have you been up to? Just teaching kids how to drive go-karts.
Also,
go-karts.
wouldn't those cops have been alerted to the shooting that just happened like a couple of blocks away?
Nah, they're
People
on their lunch
shooting
break,
and running
dude.
through backyards and
Turn that
heard
shit
the
off.
gunfire.
It's dinner time.
So true.
Memphis and Kip obviously devise a plan in front of the window where the guys outside can clearly see them. Then Kip walks away while Memphis points to a car a few feet from the gangster's car, but they still just keep watching and mean-mugging him. Kip attaches a tow cable from a tow truck to the oblivious gangster's car on one end and another to a semi on the other, while Memphis flirts with the tow truck driver inside the restaurant.
Could I buy you a donut, a jelly donut or something?
What I'm trying to say is,
Interested
all right,
in
man.
towing business or something.
what I'm trying to say is, I want to suck your cock.
Yeah, the gangsters don't hear him like hooking a hook to the undercarriage of the car that they're all sitting in.
Yeah, listen to the rap music super loud inside, dude.
Oh yeah, that's
That
what
we
they
can't
do.
hear, but oh yeah,
that we can't hear.
That's what black people do.
They actually wouldn't have put it past them to put that in the movie. Just blasting rap music.
That's a rap music.
Well, they wait for these guys to come out.
What do black people do? They wear like bandanas and blast music and can't swim.
They have grills. Can't swim.
They can't swim.
Grills.
Got guns. Lots of illegal guns.
They say "goddamn" a lot.
They say I.
The tow truck drives away and wackiness ensues. The gangbanger's car is ripped in half, which alerts the cops to the fact that all these guys in the car have guns, while Kip and Memphis share a cup of coffee for some reason. And the cops run out and immediately are like, hands up, because all the gangbangers have guns, I guess. And it was... The car got ripped in half, and the cops come running out with their guns drawn on them. Like they automatically thought. I don't know. It was kind of weird.
Well, they are black. I mean, come on.
And they are in
that's
LA.
not that weird.
I thought the weirdest
Fucking
part of
over
that
there. Get
whole
out of the car.
scene was him like he's got a cup of coffee and he's like, "You want some of this?" to Kip. And Kip's like, "Yeah, I do." Like, what the fuck? The hell is that
That was
about?
an ad-lib line.
He comes off so special needy in this movie.
Yeah, that's why everybody wants to take care of him.
Maybe that's
Like,
what's
he's a
actually
little-
happening. He's got downs.
developmentally
God.
disabled. So
Maybe
they
he
can-
is. He could be.
Yeah, they're all just looking out for him.
He's confused by like the most simple things.
Get him some chalky milk and take him to
Some shocking. Some chicken nuggets.
With that 100% necessary scene out of the way, we never see the gangsters again, right? I think they're gone.
That's
now.
it.
I think that was how,
That's
I
it.
think that's how
They're
they
in
got
jail.
They're gone. Yeah.
They don't ask them what the hell they were doing there, or
Nope.
they're not
Just-
tailing these guys. That, whatever.
That whole both of those scenes with those guys are completely pointless and serve no purpose to further the plot of the film aside from like
Yeah, just to
maybe like making a little bonding moment between Sphinx and Memphis and then
Well,
Kip
it's also
and
like you
Memphis.
just got to throw little like mini conflicts in like throughout the whole movie. So, oh, we got a rival gang who's mad that they're stealing cars. It's going to make life difficult for them for about 3 minutes.
Let's throw some stereotypes in here for a second. We got to make sure we got our quota filled there.
I mean, I really want to see a tow truck rip a car in half, so we got to work that in somehow.
I almost wonder if that's the whole reason why they put that that whole like sequence in there was just to tear that car in half.
It really seemed like it.
It was a cool effect. So
Yeah, neat.
$90 million. Well spent. With that 100% necessary scene out of the way, we see Bunny Boy show up at the shop with the stolen Cadillac. Everyone's pissed because he stole a car that wasn't on the list, and it just so happens to have pounds of heroin in it.
This one is actually
See?
a scene that was taken directly out of the original one, although that one was completely
it was
fucking
like-
incoherent in the original. But the same thing
was like,
happened
you know,
with the exhaust blowing the heroin away and stuff. They basically took that whole scene.
You know, they got to pad it out. They need more conflict. So what do? Well, we have the dumb guy who can't prove himself steal a car from some drug lords and bring it in to the shop. You know, that'll eat up like 5 minutes more screen time, right?
Yeah.
We resolve that little thing, and then we'll get back to the thing that everybody paid to see, which is them stealing a bunch of cars.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly, the lead detective shows up while they argue about. To laugh.
God damn it.
Suddenly, the lead detective shows up while they argue about taking the car back, and they spill a ton of heroin on the ground. But the biggest revelation of this scene is that we finally get a name for the lead detective, Detective Castlebeck. I think they wrote the name in later and
Fakest sounding name ever.
Yeah.
Castlebeck, I don't know.
No first name for him or
That's what a
Drykov.
6'4" black detective would be named, right? Castlebeck? Yeah.
It's all back.
We got Drykov and Castlebeck.
Drykov.
Real human names. The crew scrambles to clean everything up before the detective comes in and recognizes everyone from Memphis's old team of thieves. Memphis says they're having a little reunion and that Castlebeck should hang around because they're going to make some s'mores and sing Kumbaya. That's right, he said some mores instead of s'mores. Rewound it 3 times to make sure I wasn't hearing it wrong.
Yeah,
It's like he's saying s'mores in the most Nicolas Cage way.
Yes, I get the
S'mores.
impression that Nick Cage has never had a s'more in his life.
Or
what are these things? Poor people eat them, right?
Some s'mores. Like you want some more of them?
S'mores.
He's a huge fan of The Sandlot, and that's his favorite scene when they're in the treehouse. How can I have some more? Something I have never even had. You're killing me, Smalls.
Castlebeck is suspicious as to why they'd have an old ugly Cadillac Eldorado in for restoration, so he calls in the plate, and since it's a drug car, nothing comes back. He does, however, spot the unit numbers working that night written on a piece of paper out in the open, so he knows that the job is on for tonight. That's the cop unit numbers, like their call signs or whatever. So he's a good detective. You know, he catches these little things. It's little things.
Not the heroin on the floor.
Not the heroin, pile of heroin on the ground.
Yeah.
That's also all over the back of the car.
Yeah, it's on the back of the car.
Probably smells like heroin in there, I'm guessing, you know.
Well, if Sway's around, he can't smell anything over her, so that's actually plausible.
Memphis invites Castlebeck to start the car and let him know it's legit. And he revs the engine, which blows the heroin spilled all over the floor away. And then he decides he's had enough fun and ominously tells Memphis, "I'll catch you later."
I don't know anything about heroin, but like, I don't know if it has a smell in general, but like, I would imagine if it's blown up into the air, you could breathe it in. Which doesn't seem
Maybe
like a
it's
good
just
thing.
that place just smells so bad, you know. Maybe there's grease and oil and gasoline overwhelming everything. But I don't know. There was a lot of heroin.
Yeah.
Like.
From Pulp Fiction, I know that if you inhale too much heroin, you have a real bad day. So it just seems dangerous. I don't know.
I don't know why they made it heroin instead of like Coke. Or something.
It would
Because it was
have
the
fit
made more
more if it
sense
was
to have been
Coke.
Coke.
The same, I think they were just copying it from the original because, you know, that happens. And a cop comes in, you know, looking around. The original is more like it's like an insurance dealership and they're stealing cars so that they can cash in on insurance or something like that. I forget, but it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, the whole movie in general. But they come into this shop and yeah, same thing happens pretty much. He tries out the car.
Yeah.
And
got a little ratchet the tension up a little bit.
yeah.
Memphis warns the crew that the detectives are onto them, and if anything suspicious happens, to bail. Gee, you think so? Just right outside. I don't know why they just leave. I don't know why they didn't just stake out, just leave a surveillance out there.
Yeah.
Too easy.
But apparently they just stake out the Mercedes. They don't do anything else except watching the place all these guys are coming to and from.
Judging by how little respect they get from the rest of the police department, I'm guessing that they don't have the units to actually put on them, so it's pretty much just Kesselbeck and Drykoff, and that's about it. So if they do stick on these guys, they're probably going to lose them pretty quickly and easily anyway, because the cops are idiots and these guys are professionals. Could have just followed Kip or one of his other moron friends and then figured it out in 5 minutes, but instead they follow Memphis around.
Then you wouldn't have a movie. We see the crew getting ready. Toby, the whiz kid hacker, tries to be included on the job, but Kip tells him he'll get himself killed if he joins. Meanwhile, Almost Deaf pulls out a briefcase with glue and fake fingerprints on for Donnie to use on his hands because he's new school. And then Donnie calls him a little ghetto smurf. Never comes back again. Don't even know why this was included. Fingerprint,
what in the hell?
Just put some gloves on. And also, they just covered the tips of his fingers, which they would obviously be able to tell was a fake fingerprint. You still have
and you don't see anybody wearing fake fingers through the whole movie. Was that to insinuate that all of these guys are wearing fake fingerprints through the whole movie?
I don't know.
And we don't see them.
Yeah,
it wouldn't matter anyways because you're delivering these cars down to the dock that's going to be put into a shipping container that's going to be shipped across the fucking world.
Another in a series of pointless scenes that don't come back and don't have anything to do with anything.
And literally just gloves would have been better. Just putting on a pair of gloves would have done the job even better. Memphis busts out his old car stealing kit and Ghost Rider leather jacket and says, "I'm a bad man," while looking at it. Again, it's like a 9-year-old wrote the movie. Memphis gives the crew a pep talk and pops on the ultimate psych out song, "Lowrider" by War.
He's not that old. I mean, so we go back to him stealing, it would have been 1994. And he's busting out Lowrider from the 70s. What the fuck? Should have put on some Cypress Hill or something that would have made more sense.
Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
Safe no more.
I've got to put on Epic before I go out. You want it all, but you can't have it. That's right.
That kind of would have worked. This gives Memphis the juice he needs for a night of adrenaline-packed action, and it causes him to have a little spastic fit with his hands as he says, "Okay, let's ride." Which is literally the only thing anyone remembers from this movie 21 years later because it was in the trailer.
Yep.
That's what I was like, that's from the trailer.
It's the only iconic moment from this whole film is that his little finger swag and okay, let's ride.
First up, black guy McStereotype and the mortician expertly break into a warehouse while making as much noise as humanly possible. They let the crew in and they take off with their first batch of cars. Again, no one wearing a disguise at all in this warehouse filled with millions of dollars worth of cars that is most likely under 24-hour surveillance and likely has security, staff security crews, cameras.
I was confused because when they scout it out, they say black guy McStereotype is talking about how it's so cold and they keep everything under it's frozen inside, or they keep everything cold or chilled so that maybe the cars won't get corrosion or something. I don't know if I heard that right.
Don't even hear that part.
Yeah, he does say something like that, but it would be more of like a climate-controlled environment, so just AC. You wouldn't want to chill a fucking
I know.
Ferrari.
I was like, do they keep it under cold storage?
No, it would just be climate-controlled, so that there's no humidity in there. They're rusted.
Oh, and I guess climate-controlled in Long Beach would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It would make sense.
I'm not used to
Also,
this
they
cold
lucked
air.
out because all the cars are in a row. Like all the cars are in like a neat
perfectly
little
lined up.
line to drive right out. You know, what are the odds? It's this whole garage full of cars.
Don't have to move those other
It's like
cars
the
out of
five
the way.
they need are right next to each other.
Yep.
They're right in the line. They take their first 4 cars back to the docks while the cops continue to case the Cadillacs. Detectives Castlebeck and Drykoff move their van closer to the Cadillac they are watching because an SUV parked in their way. So they like back out of somebody's driveway and then drive into somebody else's driveway and just park there. So that's like, people don't come out of their house and wonder why there's a van parked in their driveway or call the cops or something.
Yeah, you know how
Yeah,
you
it
just
makes sense.
sit
You know,
in people's driveways for hours on end in a rape van.
Normally this is why they stake out like on the street. Like you can just pull out and park on the street across the way from it and no one's going to block your view.
I mean, obviously they did it so that they can have that scene later on where he
Yeah,
recognizes that it
the movie
moved.
needs to happen.
Yeah. Okay. That's how everything is in this movie. Why does it happen? So the movie can happen. That's why.
We see a montage of a ton more cars being stolen that includes a guy trying to mug Donnie, Junkie Jolie and Memphis stealing a 50s Cadillac, Kip and Scott Kahn stealing a car that shoots flames out the back, which seems like it wouldn't get great gas mileage, and Otto checking the ladies' names off of the board one by one. We see Memphis approach the Cadillac the detectives are watching, but he notices the van is in a different spot, so he walks away. That's why the van moved. He alerts the rest of the crew that the Cadillacs are being watched and tells everyone to head back to the garage. So at this point, it's like, okay, the deal's off. Like, they're just going to kill Kip. He's not going to do it anymore. Like, they're not going to bother anymore.
I mean, they go back to like regroup and try and figure out what they're going to do. And of course, they have a plan.
Yeah, yes.
The whole like little Donnie getting mugged by the guy or the guy trying to steal the car was just another thing that just felt so unnecessary. Like, we just have to punctuate this with a joke here. That's also a stereotype again, and then
you just see the big black guy saying funny big black guy things like, "What the hell, boy? What you doing?" You got.
I feel like that role was written for Bernie Mac, but he turned it down.
I thought it was Bernie Mac at first, and I was like, "Oh yeah," and I was like, "Oh yeah, he was still alive back then."
Yeah, he's still alive back then.
And then I was reminded he died.
And then I
roller
cried.
coaster when that they were introducing this guy as a stereotype. I think he was in like Boston Legal or one of those TV shows. Like
yeah, I think you're right.
It was the one where he was like the Boston Legal, or the one where he was. I think he was the principal of a school. There was some other Fox show.
I feel like he's still around.
Is that him,
he
or
still
was that
does
somebody
stuff.
else?
Right?
I think you're right. Yeah, I do remember that. He wasn't like one of those ABC or Fox.
Yeah, I think I watched
shows.
a few of it. I think it was a Fox show.
Oh, he was
Think of his name?
he was the lead, the head of the police department in iRobot. I remember from that, and then he was in the Terminal.
yeah.
He's been in a lot of TV shows. The new Hawaii Five-0. What else? Murder Police.
Is it Scott Murder Police? Is it Scott Kahn in the
he
new
is.
5-0?
Yep.
Hawaii 5? Fuck. That's right. I was trying to remember what I've seen him in recently.
Oh, he's in House. Yeah.
House. Maybe that's what I'm thinking
Boston
of.
Public, I bet, is the show that you
That's
were
what I
thinking
was
of.
thinking.
Boss, yes. Okay.
Yeah, that was the one. He was the principal.
Yeah.
I don't know why I watched some of that show. I still don't. It was one of those things where Fox would just have shit on the weekends, and you'd watch a block of stuff.
Yeah. Back when there were like 8 channels and you were forced to watch a show you would never watch normally.
Yeah.
Kids today don't know. Don't know
They don't know.
the horrors
The struggle
of
is real.
figuring out that, I guess night court's okay.
I guess I'll watch this Girls Gone Wild preview for the 15th time tonight.
I remember that pain as a kid, not the Girls Gone Wild thing, but like, oh, cool. Guess we got 6 hours of Scooby-Doo coming up.
Oh, God, yeah.
Guess I'll go do something else with my life instead of watching cartoons. Sway sees a car tailing her in Memphis, so she pulls into a driveway to lose them. Her hair must reek. Seriously, it looks like a Cocker Spaniel's hair after it's been rolling in filth for a few hours.
I love how easily they lose that cop too.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh, nope, nobody's here.
just turn around the corner.
Like, you want to circle back and check or something? Nah, they're gone.
Nah,
forever.
they're gone. We lost them.
Back at Otto's shop, Toby the Whiz Kid shows Otto the keys they used on the previous job that ended with them all getting the cars impounded after Kip hucked a brick through a window and, well, you know the story by now. Anyway, Otto leaves the keys next to some burgers and his dog spots the food. Oh boy, something goofy's about to happen. The crew all arrive back at the shop. You know, the one the head detective was at earlier but is suddenly now baffled at how to catch these guys. Where to find them? You know,
Where do I find these guys? Oh,
I lost them. They argue about the keys Scott Conn got from the dealership, and Donnie realizes Castlebeck must have been tipped off. Do you think so? Toby chimes in and reminds them that they have the keys from the last job, so Memphis decides they are going to steal the cars that are in the police impound. But wouldn't you know it, the dog ate the car keys.
so
Sphinx's
zany, goofy
dog ate
stuff.
metal. Sphinx pulls a knife to cut the dog open, but they all decide to feed him laxatives instead. Oh yeah, Sphinx is in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I gotta keep reminding it. The crew gets back to work while they wait for the keys to work their way through the dog. Scott Conn and Kip steal a limo, and then we see Drykoff and Castlebeck messing with the guy from the fishing dock in a bathroom straight out of one of the Saw movies. I forgot who that was. Like, I just thought they were
Fuzzy.
shaking down some other random
Fuzzy,
guy.
dude.
But yeah,
Why there? I mean, like, is that next to the fish place?
maybe.
Also, it's like 11 midnight maybe, and they're shaking this dude down in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Not his house.
Not his house. Yeah, not his house.
Maybe he lives there. I mean, it's, you know,
Could be.
it's at the
second
Saw
job.
Hotel.
Hey, could you guys clear out? I gotta chain this guy to a bathtub in 5 minutes.
You know, some of us are working.
I got this whole list of shit I gotta do. Like, I fucking put the key in the tub on the
so
guy.
much
and this other
pre-planning
guy's
for
gotta-
this. You don't even know. Guys just think this
myself.
stuff
Get the
comes
saw
together.
just right.
It's elaborate, right?
Memphis and the Rastafarian crack whore steal a car. Memphis and the Rastafarian crack whore steal a car by taking the steering wheel off to avoid removing a club on the wheel. Where he was hiding the extra wheel that she didn't notice is beyond me. they just take the club off.
He
and-
had it in a briefcase or something. I don't know.
Then we cut back to Fuzzy spilling his guts about Kip screwing up a job and owing Raymond Calitri a ton of cars. Toby and Freb. Yeah, the Donnie Darko kid's name is Freb in this. Freb.
I don't know how to pronounce your name.
They wait for the dog to shit out the keys. That's it for the scene. Back in the car, trashy Barbie puts on some lipstick and Memphis flirts with her about her never putting on makeup, but fails to mention the fact that she hasn't washed her hair in 8 months. Also, the lipstick is from the car. She found it in the glove box of the lady's car, which is super disgusting. Just taking someone else's lipstick and putting it on.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, it's pre-COVID.
It's still disgusting, even after COVID. Like, you're just. She says next time she'll put on some leather high heels and pink underwear for him, which seems sexy until you remember she looks like an emaciated Holocaust victim who probably has bugs crawling in her dreadlocks. Yeah, it's like it's her only character in this movie is to just want to have sex with Nicolas Cage. That's it.
I mean, she's the audience, okay? We live vicariously through her.
They kind of painted her as like she's also like an expert car thief, and like she's adding a whole lot to the crew. You know, she's like that when that kid on the motorcycle joins the Bad News Bears. Like, this is our secret weapon.
She's the ringer.
Yeah, the rigger.
But she never
she
steals anything on her
doesn't
own. It's
do
always
anything.
just with Memphis the whole movie.
She drives him to the thing and then drives away while he steals the car for everything. We cut to the detectives investigating the Carpenter's background, and then back to Memphis and Sway waiting out some people having sex in front of an open window. We find out Memphis and Sway were together before he left town and he ditched her. He left a knockout like her? Man. Was it the fact that she smells like molding cottage cheese, or that a sex felt like being tackled by a skeleton?
I really went back and
Yeah, you did.
ripped her apart.
Yeah, you did. Poor Angelina.
We see a homicide detective bust up the auto theft detective's investigation into the Carpenter, saying they have no authority since this is a homicide investigation and not even the Grab division has jurisdiction. So they just said earlier the building that they worked in was the governor's regional auto theft bureau, which I'm not Einstein here, but Grab and Gratba are two different things, right?
See, now that joke makes sense because I didn't read Nigel's act. I read my own, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm missing this reference. Now I get it. Gratba.
Grat. It's not even like the T doesn't even stand for the V where you'd cut it out or something. It's theft. It's an important part of the word.
Yeah.
He tells them that Calitri is going down for murder one, and who gives a shit about Grand Theft Auto? Back with Memphis and Sway, things get real romantic as they watch people in the window undress each other. Sway asks what's more exciting, stealing cars. What's it say, swass?
Swass. Sorry.
What is it? I don't get it.
Sweat, like sweaty ass. Swass ass. That's more exciting.
Yeah. Swass asks what's more exciting, stealing cars or having sex? And Memphis says, why not both at the same time? I did look it up. Mechanophilia is the sexual attraction to cars. So that's what Memphis definitely has in this. One part he even says the car's like begging to be plucked while he's sitting inside of Eleanor or something like that. It's just really super weird and creepy.
Something on your shoulder.
Your fucking manager's not happy.
Get in the
But
kitchen.
you want to rip a poster off the wall?
Yeah. I don't like when you talk, motherfucker. Shut up.
All right, see if I can make it through the act. They make out for a second, which I'm guessing is like kissing an ashtray, but Sway notices the couple finally adjourned to a bedroom. So they jump back into action, stealing the car they came there to steal. Ah, bummer. Cock blocked by the job that they were supposed to do. Missed all the car sex puns or something, like just crankshaft and all kinds of random references to things. Really unsexy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure at one point
Nicolas Cage making car references while Angelina Jolie makes out with him.
And I'm pretty sure at one point she was sat on the shifter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what she likes.
Definitely not the first time.
She's gotta warm it up. Back with Freb and Toby, the dog still hasn't shit out the keys. Suddenly, Michael Pena shows up, and I have to say, he really shines in the Mexican gangster stereotype role. I'm guessing his character went to prison shortly after this, and that's how he met Scott Lang. But anyway, he tells these dummies to stay off his turf, or he'll cut them up. So they're the auto shop is in this gangster's turf, I guess. They're just walking around outside. They're not like they wandered into some gangland.
What'd I tell you about coming into my land, man?
The dog finally lets go of the keys, and the sight of Freb playing in the dog's shit makes the Mexican gangster crew all sick, so they leave. Thank God they were in the movie, though, because I don't know what we had to do if we didn't have a chance to meet those characters we never see again.
Comedy.
We got to throw a little Mexican gangbanger stereotype in there. We got the black gangbangers. We got to have the Mexican gangbangers show up.
At least
we got the Asians. We got the blacks. Let's get the Mexicans now.
Yeah.
This is a diverse movie. I appreciate it. It was ahead of its time.
Next, we see Almost Deaf pretending to be a pimp at the LAPD impound, doing his best Dave Chappelle, Rick James impression. Actually, no, it's more like Lil Jon. What he seemed like.
Yeah, Lil Jon.
Like a couple years before Lil Jon became a thing. He distracts the one guy who works at the place by saying his Volvo's in the impound lot and he wants to get it. Meanwhile, Memphis and some other crew members saw through the fence of the LAPD impound yard, which is completely unguarded except from one guy sitting in a booth. And they wear goofy masks that somehow make Angelina Jolie look less revolting. They're just wearing like plastic transparent masks.
That was just for the trailer. I think that's the only reason they wear those at any point. Like they could have been wearing it when they went into the frozen warehouse or whatever.
Anywhere. At any point tonight while they're stealing cars.
But that, you paid for Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie's face, so we can't put those on.
That is the thing. Actors have FaceTime in their contracts and stuff, so that's why like a lot of superheroes take their masks off and shit in a bunch of movies because the actors have to be on screen.
In the Marvel movies, they've just made it to a thing where like just magically their whole face thing can just come off in a second now. Nobody questions it at all anymore.
Yeah, they don't have to write it in like, it was all that pesky, like Spider-Man get his mask torn or say, dude, get rid of that. Just make it nanotechnology. Disappear at the drop of a hat. They break in without any trouble whatsoever and make off with the 3 Cadillacs that the dog shit out the keys for and coast off into the night while Mirror Man, a.k.a. Almost Deaf, played by TJ Cross, who miraculously only went on to have 2 more film roles after this, pulls out a doll and distracts the booth attendant by making it dance while he sings Brick House by Rick James.
I love the fucking look on the guy's face. He's like, fucking dumb. Like, oh yeah, this is good.
If you watch Michael Bay movies, this is like quintessential Michael Bay comedy. Like it
really is.
Like it's like they took this scene directly out of a Michael Bay movie. Every scene in this movie, except for the ones that make sense, were taken out of Michael Bay movies. It's just ridiculous.
The only thing that's missing that Michael Bay movies all have is like a circular helicopter shot or camera shot while they circle around.
We'll have Face Off next season, so you'll get your fill of ridiculous, stupid bullshit.
Is that a John Woo movie?
I think it might be, actually.
Who did that one? John Woo was like the Michael Bay before there was a Michael Bay.
Yeah, that's true.
The punchline of movies.
God, man. If you ever go back and watch all of the Mission Impossible movies, whew, boy, that second one that John Woo did, holy shit. What a piece of crap.
It is, it's... I still don't even know what the fuck that movie was about, if I'm being 100% honest.
That's unbearable, man.
All I remember is Tom Cruise launching himself off a motorcycle at the villain who also launches himself off of a motorcycle, and then they collide midair and they fucking spin around as if they're free falling 5 feet to the fucking ground.
Then he has all I remember. Has a knife like an inch from his eyeball.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Hey, fun fact: J.J. Abrams then brought that franchise back to life.
Yes, he did.
Directing the third film.
He 100% did.
That would have been, 6, 7 of those?
I thank J.J. Abrams because I've really loved every Mission Impossible since Part 3. They've all been great.
Yeah, they've been good. That third film.
Aren't they, isn't the next one like literally filming part of it in space?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
It's just so over the top.
Act 3. It's about time to wrap this thing up.
Castlebeck gets a note telling him that the glass shards found at the beginning of the film were from a black light. And finally, an hour and 10 minutes after the discovery of the glass, he figures out what they used the black lights to hide, which was the list of cars they planned to steal. Unlike the millennials, Otto stuck with the more sophisticated chalkboard method, but what can you do? He's old school like that. Which, I mean, to be fair, that was a smarter way if they got rated, not so smart, but pretty smart to still use the chalkboards because these dum-dums left behind a bunch of evidence.
You're going to easily wipe down the chalkboard in a second.
Yeah.
But it's not as cool and high-tech like these.
Yeah, it's not as high-tech.
These whiz kids are.
It's not as high-tech. It's not as cool.
That 70s tech.
Over at the first hideout that idiot Kip led the cops to, Kesselbeck points out the broken glass and says, "See that glass?" And Drykoff, wearing a smug smirk upon his face, answers with, "Let me guess. Blacklight?" A response he felt justified saying, even though he was sitting a foot away from Kesselbeck when he figured it out 10 seconds ago. You guys get it? Justified?
Yeah,
because he was in that show.
Yeah.
Justified.
What did he play in that show?
Was he
the
a
marshal.
detective? Or
Lawman?
Sheriff?
Yeah, he was a lawman. He was a marshal.
Don't tell
actually.
me he's some kind of lawman.
Yeah, spoiler alert, he was. They find the list using some portable black lights and decide to focus in on casing a Humvee and Eleanor herself, the 67 Shelby. Kesselbeck knows Memphis is going to save this for last since he's afraid of it.
I don't know why they picked the Humvee.
I don't know.
Humvees they weren't that uncommon in the early 2000s.
I'm guessing money is why.
You're not going to find a Humvee
Sure,
Yeah, but they were
Humvee paid for some of this.
sponsored. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can store your snake in it. That's what got.
I keep my snake.
So Kip and Scott Can head over to the house that Freb. Yeah, again, his name is Freb. Used a fancy gadget to figure out the signal to the electric garage opener. Somehow, no one noticed that Toby was hiding in the back of the SUV. Kip and Scotty aren't too happy to see him, but that changes once he proves himself useful immediately by standing in the open door of the garage in full view of a party full of people. And of course, they get spotted and some spoiled bitch screams for someone to call the cops. For being so smart, he's pretty fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I forgot who he was, to be totally honest with you.
Toby?
Yeah, I was like, who is this? Is this some guy we were supposed to know? Like,
Yeah, it's Toby.
Seems to
like,
be
I know
like
they were not happy to be there, but I couldn't remember even who the fuck he was.
a lot of these types of movies. They introduce characters and then they kind of just drop them and then they show up later on. Like Pirates of the
They're
Caribbean
supposed to
is so
remember
like
who the hell they
confusing
are.
because you're like, who the fuck is that?
Oh, yeah.
They were in the. Oh, okay. Well, who's that? Who's this person?
Yeah, it just with the breakneck pace of the movie and so many different scenes cut in, you can't. Your brain just sort of has to shuffle things off and forget about them.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of. It's like you're conditioned to like none of this matters. You just need to pay attention for the next like 2 minutes, and then goldfish brain just forget about that. Next thing's gonna happen. And so when they make a callback to something half an hour ago, you're like, well, what? Who?
Does this have to do with those gangbangers who got their car ripped? No.
Oh no, we weren't supposed to.
He
Nothing
wasn't
has
in
to
that.
do with those.
He wasn't in that
Yeah.
scene. He wasn't one of the
those
gangbangers. Toby wasn't.
Which I also like on the list is just this SUV.
Yeah,
Like,
just a
someone's-
random generic
someone's
suburban.
paying someone to steal an SUV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking so dumb.
Somebody has
Hey, don't forget
exquisite
to put
taste
the,
in China or
Put the
wherever
Chevy
these are
Suburban
going.
on there.
Yeah,
I need that Suburban. Don't forget to put that on the list.
Get 99, no 98. Now over at the Humvee, you know the one the cops decided to watch. Sphinx and Almost Deaf make quick work of stealing it, but those meddling cops catch up to them before they can leave the parking garage. Mirror Man cranks some DMX, may he rest in peace, while a boa constrictor appears from the back seat and slithers up Mirror Man's ass. Mirror Man, of course, freaks out and manages to force Sphinx to collide with the wall, which tips off the cops. Sphinx runs down the cops in the Humvee, pushing them over a barricade. As the loser cops watch Sphinx and Mirror Man drive off in victory, they're suddenly assaulted by the sexual harassment boa.
Pretty sure they were in the same parking garage that was in The Dark Knight.
It did look very similar to it.
One where you
Probably,
catch a
yeah.
scarecrow at the beginning.
I mean, they reuse a lot of the same spots in LA, just in and around.
The deadline is now only 2 hours away, which Patrick and Nigel find crazy because at this point they could have sworn they've been watching this movie for 8. Memphis and the Skanklet Witch. Memphis and the Skanklet Witch deliver car number 48, but Atlee alerts them there was trouble getting the Humvee and that Kip and his crew have reported in. We see Kip's team get followed by a neighborhood security patrol car while another sets up a roadblock. They get shot at but manage to get away. Unfortunately, dipshit Toby, who stowed himself away to join in on this joyride, which resulted in tipping off a party full of people to them stealing a car, gets shot. Not a huge loss in my opinion.
You know, I mean,
some conflict.
I might be crazy, but
conflict in there.
I don't think Neighborhood Watch has guns and sets up roadblocks and shit. Like, these were like security guards.
It's a rich neighborhood.
Rich white neighborhood.
They probably can afford to pay paramilitary to come guard their shit.
Little known fact, it was actually Blackwater that was the security company. This is before they got their big contract a few years later to go run and gun the streets of Iraq. They take Toby to the docks where almost all the cars have now been loaded, and Atlee rushes him to a doctor. Memphis and Matted Hair McGee had to finish the job while the detectives decide to finally head towards the Shelby.
They had to find it.
They had to find it, you know? Even though they...
Luckily, there's only one registered in Long Beach, right?
Yeah, even though there was only one registered.
They wait to, like... to the point where there's like an hour left to go on this contract.
Yeah, so what else have they been doing? Like, you just think they're just like, oh, driving around like we're gonna trick Cadillacs again. Oh, should we go back to the garage? What do we do?
Let's get some coffee.
Let's get some coffee.
Chocolate malt.
Hey, Trikoff, I gotta go home. My wife needs me to stop by real quick. You know.
Oh, do you have to give her that $200?
Careful, that sounds suspiciously like a callback and payoff of something they said earlier in the movie, which doesn't happen in this movie.
Memphis steals Eleanor with no problem, but wouldn't you know it, the Grappa team is waiting for him as he exits the garage. I'm sorry, but now that I know that's fucking...
Supposed to be grab, dumb. But auto theft is two words. Grappa.
Quick, call the Grappa.
Not even Grab has jurisdiction.
Sorry, it's Grappa.
It's Gratba. Sorry. You are mistaken, homicide detective who's been working on this case for years now to try and bust this guy, but we're still going to go to his place.
You can't stop us, we're renegades.
We're jerk-offs.
You guys are jerk-offs. It's pronounced Drykoff, thank you. This launches a 15-minute car chase, and we finally get to see Nick Cage show off what he learned in driving school. For all this movie's flaws, the final car chase is pretty badass. Memphis eludes the cops and makes utter chaos of downtown, which is really going to mess up the morning commute for a lot of already pissed off Angelinos. As if traffic's not bad enough.
Sway? Oh, Angelinos, not Angelina.
Not Angelina. Angelinos.
Angelinos.
The cops catch up to Memphis, who leads them into the LA River flood control area, which is surprisingly not filled with shopping carts and homeless camps. Which is actually, I mean, honestly, I am actually surprised that it was pretty clean. So it makes me wonder if they cleaned that shit up, because...
You know, every time I see it in movies, it's just, you know, there's like maybe some stuff off to the side, but pretty much, they seem to keep it clean, and I wonder if it's just for movies.
I think so. It's got to be. There's no way that's clean.
There's water going through there, so maybe it pushes all the water through, so they have to come in and clean everything to make sure that the stuff doesn't get, clogged. But I've seen so many movies in those little flood control areas.
Mm-hmm. They love shooting shit in there.
Well, it's probably because I don't think you can camp in them. You wouldn't want to.
You would think you wouldn't want to. But
they probably do keep people out of them because they need to keep them clear, because if you have a blockage or an obstruction, you can flood and ruin the whole purpose of the thing. So they probably just film there because it's already clean and it's an off-limits area for people to go to, and they can do cool car chase scenes in it.
Yeah.
Next, we have a helicopter join the chase, and the cops are hot on his tail. But conveniently, the Shelby he stole also so happens to have NOS, baby. So
why wouldn't it?
Yeah, why wouldn't it? I mean, it's already fast, but you add some NOS, dude. Probably two canisters, because he needs to go fast. He needs to go real fast. And he
only uses it once, so that at least they did the research on that. He doesn't just keep cranking the NOS. Like you get one and that's it. Okay?
You get one and done, baby. So he blasts away from all of them at 160 miles per hour. Miraculously, no piles of trash or burnout cars get in his way.
I love that they call in a chopper to watch them, but the chopper flies like 60 feet above the car the whole time, which defeats the purpose of bringing a chopper. Choppers can just go way up in the air, and then no car's going to be able to outrun them because they can travel at like 200 miles an hour up in the air.
Also, you don't have to do death-defying stunts flying under bridges.
They're like flying under bridges. It just got like it's where I was like, we've kicked it up into the complete ridiculousness third act.
We've entered the third act, that's for sure.
We've entered the third act. And boy, is it a wild ride. Now, over at the doctor's office, Atlee and Kip have a heart-to-heart where Kip finds out the only reason his brother left town in the first place is because their mom asked him to, in order to save Kip from following in his footsteps. Worked out for him, Mom. He feels bad for being a huge dick to his brother the whole movie, and they find out Toby will be fine, unfortunately.
Why does he get shot? What's the whole point?
Drama.
No point.
Just to have this little sit down with
shot and resolved that they couldn't have had anywhere else.
Right. Right. Drama. Just makes no sense.
Gotta have these little beats, little action beats, little moments of conflict.
Memphis does his best to stay hidden from the cops in an industrial neighborhood, but manages to break the passenger side mirror of the Shelby, which is instantly fixed in the very next shot. I'm glad I'm not the only one that noticed that.
Yeah, I was paying attention, started checking those continuity things.
Yeah.
I actually...
By the way...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, go on.
I looked at the continuity errors on the IMDb page, and there were so many that I was just like, nah, I'm just not gonna. You notice that there's no quick facts throughout this entire breakdown because it was like, God, I've already written 8,000 words about this stupid movie. I'm not going to add all of this bullshit too.
Do you want to share what you saw, Nigel, on the billboard?
Oh yeah, so right after he busts the mirror and then he backs up into an alleyway, it's just in the background there's a billboard that looks like it has the Marlboro Man on it because it's a big cowboy. So I was expecting it's just one of those things where you'd see it and your brain would just kind of shut it off because you wouldn't you'd assume that's what it is, but. It just says impotent in giant words. So there's just a big giant billboard in L.A. with a cowboy on it with the words impotent scrawled across it. And I have no idea if it was a real billboard that just happened to be there when they filmed, or it's something they purposely put in the movie with some hidden message.
It makes me wonder if maybe it was an anti-smoking billboard or something. They used the Marlboro font and the Marlboro
that must have been
Man.
it. Yeah, because I remember. Yes, you're right. They did used to have that was an ad campaign that they ran where they would try to show I think there was even TV commercials and stuff where they try to show the guy being tough, but he has to get his lung removed or something because he smoked. or there was magazine ads that said something similar or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
now that I'm thinking about it, it actually does strike a chord. I feel like I remember seeing that back in the day.
Yeah, me too. I buried that. But yeah. Anyway, carry on. I was like, oh man, is the director trying to tell us something?
Nick Cage's character has issues in the bedroom. That's why he's got to talk car
right,
talk.
He's got to get warmed up in the car.
Got to warm it up.
Just crank it so I can crank you.
Anyway, I just realized Sway is not in this third act at all. Until the very end of the movie, she's out again. She just shows up and then she's gone. And then
she exits she blocks the cops when he first whips out of the parking garage. And that's it.
That's right. Yeah.
And then she's
after
gone.
that, she's gone
until she's crying. In that one scene.
They had Angelina Jolie for a couple of scenes and a couple of shooting days, and they did their thing, and then the rest of the movie was done without her.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
you gotta shoehorn a love interest into this piece of shit somewhere.
She only shows up with him.
I got Angelina Jolie.
Get her.
Yeah.
Eleanor sputters out, but Memphis manages to talk her into starting again. Just in time to be spotted by a cop patrolling the area. The cops catch up to him and follow Eleanor into a shipping yard where wackiness ensues. All right, you guys got to cue up this music.
This was the best part of the movie. It really was. This is where I had the most fun. this specific part of the movie.
Yeah, this last chase is probably the best part of this entire movie. So
I devoted 2 sentences to it because I just couldn't fucking do it anymore.
I was gonna say, so Patrick was pretty much done with the movie here, so we'll use our imaginations. Memphis's amazing driving skills cause half of the LAPD to crash their cars, including one to be knocked through a wall by a wrecking ball. Memphis speeds out of the shipyard without a scratch, not a single cop car on his tail. Several cops are dead, some of them on fire. Many children will have a Christmas without daddy this year. This is a PG-13 movie, so that's all that destruction was just good, clean fun, and nobody got hurt.
Giant propane canister flying around, smashing cars, and
just pinballing off of fucking cars.
Just fucking absolute insanity through that whole thing.
Just the wrecking ball hits the cop car that goes through a concrete wall and somehow doesn't smash the car. He's just fine.
Yeah, the dude gets out. He's all stoned. It's just fucking days. What the fuck happened?
He's got a little blood at the top of his head or something.
But he's like, "Hey, are you okay? Because you just went through a wall." That was from the trailer.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was a trailer line. Yeah.
Fucking dry cop. The police helicopter catches up to Memphis, but brilliantly, or more like conveniently, he drives through an underpass that goes beneath the airport. So the helicopter has to give up on the chase again.
I actually saw a little factoid that the police do have the right of way, but they could just fly up higher and fly over, so that helicopter could have just kept following him with no problem.
Not this pilot,
but in this movie,
he's either inches from the street or he's not following at all.
I'm surprised he didn't try to fly under the tunnel. When he was like, we don't have airspace. We don't have airspace above the airfield. I thought he was gonna be like, we're not going over the airfield. And I'm like,
we're Mission Impossible, and the fireball just shoots out of the tunnel. Chopper 1 is down. Chopper 1 is down.
Seems to be pilot error. I don't think Memphis had anything to do with it.
All right, having gotten away scot-free, he unfortunately runs into a traffic jam on the Long Beach Bridge. But as luck would have it, he spots a truck with a ramp on the back that is currently down. So, as the cops once again catch up to him, he reverses the car. He then does what all of us want to do when we see a similar situation in front of us, as we're an hour, 30 minutes into what should have been a 40-minute commute to work, and guns it, using the ramp to jump over about 30 cars going at about 100 miles per hour, and somehow manages to not snap the car in half as he lands hard, like bowling ball from 40 feet up hard, like Superman slamming into the ground hard, like Vegeta kicking Goku's bitch ass through several random spirals of hard rock hard. What I'm trying to say is, like, he fucking came down hard. That front end should have just snapped up and back into his face.
Snapped the transmission in half.
I'm guessing most of the cars that they destroyed happened on this, and the one time it didn't destroy it,
immediately snap in half when they landed.
They're like, go, just keep it going.
That's good enough. All right, because you can see that scene. It's not like as smooth as the other shots. It's kind of like following the car as it fishtails back and forth.
This was where I was like, I expected the kid from Free Willy to be standing underneath him when he flies over, and then Eleanor brushes his fingertips.
That Michael Bay score, underneath is just. It's this. Look what a hero this guy is.
He drove a car off a fucking ramp. He's a hero.
There's a lot of moments like that, wow, what a good guy this car thief is.
Look at him endangering dozens of people who are already at a car accident, so there's already injured people.
And he just demolished like 30 cop cars in the shipyard, which would have killed people, those cops in real life. But it's okay because he's doing it for the love of his brother.
Yeah, he's a good man.
The cruise time has come to an end, and at the docks, everyone waits for Memphis to deliver the final car, while Sway gets teary-eyed, wondering what happened to him. She wipes away the tears quickly out of fear that they might clean her face a little. Calitri calls Atlee and tells him they are one car short, so he should bring on over Kip so he can kill him. He says if they don't deliver the kid, he'll kill Memphis because, quote, one rains is as good as another. It never rains, it pours. Easily the dumbest line in the movie, which is saying a lot.
So fucking stupid, man.
They just wanted to have that line in the movie.
Yes, they
which
did.
I think is the only reason they named it the character's Raines.
Never rains, it's
And then they couldn't figure out where to put it. And then they were like, shit, we're running out of script time. We gotta put it in.
Shoehorn it right here. Ah, yeah. We're going to win it.
Never rains, it pours. Fuck you. So dumb.
Memphis finally arrives with the half-destroyed Shelby, but the guy at the dock tells him he missed the window for delivery. So Memphis heads over to Calitri's without alerting the rest of the crew, who were presumably nearby as to where he's going.
Yeah, I mean,
So
he
just
was
sold it.
already at the
Yeah.
docks. He was in the spot where he would deliver the car, but he
Yeah.
doesn't say anything to the crew. I mean, they do all
Like,
show
they're
up
like-
10 seconds later, though, so maybe he did.
It's
but
like they
it was
were
off
there,
camera.
right? Like everybody was there off camera, but then he just like gets in the car and leaves. Turns out Memphis was only 12 minutes late with the final car. But the carpenter decides he still needs to die, so he sucker punches Memphis with a pair of brass knuckles. All this after Nick Cage does this nice, like, oh, you can buff this out, we
make a deal
here,
Here, I'll take it out of my share.
Yeah, I'll take it out of my
Take
share.
200, take 80 out of 200, and we got a deal. We make a deal.
And up until that point, he had played this character pretty straight, right? Other than like the out of character slap. Now we get Nick Cage with tits right at the end.
I just stole 50 cars for you in one night. All right, I'm a little tired, I'm a little wired, and I think I deserve a little appreciation.
Castlebeck decides the hell with the homicide investigation that took 2 years to set up. So he and Drykoff head to Calitri's place. Sorry, I just keep, I see that name and I just keep thinking of Game of Thrones.
You're the
Memphis
only one
heads
who's still
inside.
thinking of Game of Thrones. It's just it's out of the zeitgeist forever now.
It really is. It kind of fell off.
They missed the dunk so
final
badly
season.
on the end.
It's just everybody's done. Purged out of everyone's memory.
forever.
These monsters destroy Eleanor in a car crusher. And just as they're about to kill Memphis, Atlee shows up and distracts the henchman while Kip runs up a crane that he uses to knock the bad guys out with because now he cares about his brother again. Memphis then heads inside and punches the carpenter, who is hard at work on another coffin or something. They fight for a bit, trading punches back and forth in a near classic MMA manner until Memphis destroys some of the carpenter's handiwork, much to his chagrin.
Smashing
He's
a
so
chair.
upset about that chair.
He was fucking pissed. He's like, don't, no, put it down.
I love how character motivations are just so simple in these types of movies. Like, we just had this heart to heart, and he said that my brother left because his mom said for him to leave. So now I care about him again.
You read that, or you said that exactly how his character would have processed it. Just slow. Still a little confused as to why he's like caring. So mom said to leave.
Mom said to leave.
So I should care about him? Atlee, I need you to tell me, is that how I'm supposed to feel?
Like, why would all of these years go by and that never came up? Like, at no point. Like, even when he was like starting to steal cars, Atlee never was like, hey, you know why your brother left? So you wouldn't steal cars. So maybe you shouldn't steal cars now.
Yeah.
No, just we're gonna wait till this moment to drop that information. Mom
'cause,
never
you
mentioned
had
it. Memphis never mentioned it.
No.
We
Atlee
don't have
never
to be
mentioned
emotional
it.
about Toby anymore because Toby's
Yeah,
fine. So now
Toby's
we got to
fine.
be emotional about the family drama again.
Family. Family. These are my families. The carpenter grabs a gun out of his desk and shoots at Memphis at point blank range, but somehow misses him. Which I guess makes sense. He's a woodworker, not an armorer. But wouldn't you think a bad guy like him would have at least taken a class on how to use his firearms? I mean, fuck, dude, go to the range at least once a week and practice because you never know when you'll be in a firefight with an unarmed Nick Cage and Detective McStereotype. Anyways.
If you watch in that scene, like when Nick Cage jumps through, like behind the window, he's in full view of that window. So like those bullets look like they would have hit him, like those three that hit the window. But those were squibs, so of course they didn't hit him.
Movie magic.
Movie magic.
It's bulletproof window.
In a steel shop.
In this weird steel factory
shop,
/ junkyard
slash woodworking
the finale of Terminator
factory.
building. Finale of 2 Terminators.
One of those factories from the Road Warrior movies, like the Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
It's just random fireballs and sparks falling everywhere.
Calitri chases Memphis around the warehouse, shooting at him while the detectives arrive. They hear the gunshots and decide, well, let's join in on the fun. Once again, cue the music. As they all chase each other around. Memphis falls through the floor thanks to a loose grate, but despite an obvious hole in the floor that the carpenter could have easily seen or heard, since the metal grate fell multiple stories to the ground below, never looks down once to notice Memphis hanging by his fingertips.
At his feet, yeah.
Right at his fucking feet, like inches away from his feet.
I think it would just like instinctively feel a giant hole right in front of you, right?
Yes. He just
Everybody has
he has
peripheral
no
vision.
peripheral vision whatsoever.
You can't see from here
And
now.
he's looking up. So
It's those
maybe he
teeth,
thought
those giant
Memphis
teeth
was
that he's
up in the
got there,
rafters.
like blocking his view.
Calitri is distracted by Castlebeck knocking over a pipe, which gives Memphis the opportunity to pull himself up. Calitri corners Castlebeck and delivers an award-winning speech about how Castlebeck will be a hero for dying since he's a cop, and tries his best to convince Castlebeck that his police funeral is better than living. Just before the master builder is able to pull the trigger, Memphis swoops in to save the day. He kicks the carpenter in the face and he falls several stories down to his office, where he lands inside the coffin he made in less than a day for Kip, thus ending the life of the greatest carpenter known to man since Jesus. I don't know about you guys, but I'd give him about a 5 out of 10 for that dive. I don't really feel like he stuck the landing very well.
Yeah, didn't really get there.
He was more out of the coffin than he was inside of the
Yeah, he
coffin.
kind of landed on the edge. And
kind of.
Yeah, so
that.
5 out of 10. There's room for improvement, really, on his part.
would it have been better if he had perfectly landed inside of it? Like, in the movie, I'm saying. Like,
Fuck
would that
yeah,
have been a
dude.
better shot if he
Oh
had
my
landed
god, he
perfectly?
lands just
And then,
square,
like,
and they arms like this, and then the coffin, the lid just boom closes. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. But no, he fucked up.
How do we
and,
up the ante to make it even stupider?
up the cheese.
How fucking appropriate if he's just like lands
Hits his arm on
perfectly
the
in
side.
it, and then the door or the lid just closes right on top of him.
Yeah, but it would be like a comical close, so it would just like.
Oh! I wasn't expecting that. Castlebeck thanks Memphis for saving his life and decides in half a second to just let him go, despite having no reason to have been at Calitri's in the first place, if not for Memphis leading him there. Memphis tells him where to find the stolen cars, and then we just cut to the crew all hanging out at the back auto shop like nothing ever happened. It's all cleared up, boys.
Yeah.
Put a little bow on it.
All those cops that, could recognize Memphis's face from all the fucking utter chaos that he caused by speeding around and crushing cop cars and all that nonsense. It's fine.
Just let it go. You saved my life, dude.
It was Calitri.
Good to go, dude. It's Calitri.
What happened to Drycoff in that scene? I can't remember.
He stayed down below.
I want to say that he got incapacitated in some way because it would make sense for him never to show up again, but I don't think he does.
No,
He drops out of the movie.
Just wasn't there.
Castlebeck's like, oh, I'm going to go this way, and Drycoff goes the other way, and then
he's gone.
He's gone. he had Marshall shit to do. He had to go.
Script writer's like, flawless.
Memphis makes out with Skeletor, who still hasn't washed her hair, while the rest of the crew creepily watches. Then, for no goddamn reason, Sphinx, the guy who hasn't said a word throughout the entire movie, delivers an eloquent monologue about how Toby getting shot made the rest of the crew think about their life of crime. So, it was worth it.
If his unpleasant wounding has in some way enlightened the rest of you as to the grim finish below the glossy veneer of criminal life and inspired you to change your ways, then his injuries carry with it an inherent nobility and a supreme glory. We should all be so fortunate. You say poor Toby. I say poor us.
He spoke.
And then Angelina Jolie sucks on Toby's finger, which is just fucking disgusting. And also, like, aren't you Nick Cage's girl? Like, you over here sitting on this dude's lap, sucking his fingers? What the fuck?
The whole final scene is just... yeah. What, like, this whole Sphinx thing was just like... Come on, man. Like... Jesus Christ.
You gotta say oink now. You gotta say a bunch of funny stuff with an accent.
I thought you were from Long Beach.
Oh yeah, Long Beach. So like, to your point, Patrick, about this movie having to do with launching the Fast and Furious franchise, like this scene is like every fucking scene in the Fast and Furious movie where they're all sat around a picnic table and Dominic Toretto's all like, "This is my family. We're a family. Okay, we take care of each other."
Are you telling me that series is about family?
Yeah, it's, I didn't know. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's about family.
Family.
You know, so they all have a good chuckle at the extremely stupid thing that just happened. Then Kip shows up. And you can really tell he's turned his life around because he shaved his patchy, gross pube beard. He gives Memphis his jewelry box with keys inside. That's when Otto comes out and calls everyone into the shop and unveils a rusted out 1960 Shelby GT. Memphis asks Kip if he stole it because he was a bad guy, but you know, he's turned a new leaf, right? We know this because he's shaved, so we know he can't be a bad guy anymore.
Yeah.
It turns out that he sold his motorcycle to buy it for his big brother. Memphis is blown away by his brother doing literally the first nice or intelligent thing in the entire movie and gives him a big hug.
I'm blown away.
Did we ever see his motorcycle?
Yeah, it was,
in his fucking living room.
Yeah, in the living room.
Oh, right. I couldn't remember. I was like, wait, I don't remember him having a motorcycle. But
Yeah, it was parked inside.
Literally,
which, I mean,
the only reason it was in the movie was for this scene.
All right. I guess that
using
was about 573 things ago, so I didn't remember it.
Memphis hops in the car and asks albino pubic lice if she wants to go for a ride. The two of them ride Eleanor off into the credits, and at last our journey has mercifully ended. Or so we thought. Suddenly in the middle of the credits, we fade back in on Memphis and the Crypt Keeper driving down the 101. We watch as they pull up to a stoplight. Before the light turns green, a black 1970 Charger pulls up next to them. The camera pans up to reveal the driver. It's Dominic Toretto, and he tells Memphis he needs his help. Memphis looks back at Dom, then at albino Matrix twin number 1, and tells Dom, "I'm out of the game." Dom smiles and tells Memphis they'll race over it. If Dom wins, Memphis joins him on his next mission. If Memphis wins, Dom will drive off into the sunset and never return. We watch as they rev their engines and take off as the light turns green. We watch as they fly down the highway, disappearing around the corner. Credits.
I really thought I missed
That's
like
the
a
fantasy movie. That's the fantasy movie I wrote to bridge the two franchises together.
It's like I couldn't take listening to shitty 2000s music anymore, so I turned the credits off. But I actually missed the next credits.
I was like, I thought I fast forwarded through the credits to see if there was anything else, but I guess I didn't. I didn't know. Fast and
Dominic
Furious
Toretto.
prequel.
Memphis Rain.
Honestly, like, I don't know why there was never a crossover. I mean, I guess if this movie didn't make any money, but this feels like it would have just fit right, you know. I guess different studios, so...
Yeah, different studios, and then also even the Fast and Furious franchise had a lot of trouble because Vin Diesel backed out. That's why Too Fast and Furious was such a mess to get developed.
Yeah.
And why they brought in that other actor, can't remember his name, Tyrone Gibbs? I can't remember his name.
Vin Diesel really thought he was going
Gibson.
somewhere at that point in his career.
really
I remember
did.
because he backed out of the Triple X sequel and Fast
Then he
and
backed out of
Furious.
Triple X, Fast and Furious sequel.
So he backed out of the movies that were getting him somewhere.
Yep.
To go do what? I don't...
A Man Apart. I don't know if you guys ever saw that
Pacifier.
movie. Not great. Oh, and The Pacifier.
He
Oh,
had
right,
to do
right.
Pacifier. He had to sign a Disney contract.